Welcome in, Chiefs Kingdom, to Cheifs Latest, your one-stop spot for everything Kansas City Chiefs in 15 minutes or less. It is your host, Calvin Silvers. Happy Thursday. We are just one day away from the Chiefs taking the field for their second preseason game of three. They're facing the Seattle Seahawks, and there is one position group that I'm really going to be keeping my eyes on. But before we dive into any of that, you know the drill. If you're listening on YouTube, if you can go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications, that would be greatly appreciated. And if you're on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or any other podcast platform, if you can leave us 5 stars again, it not only helps me in the channel, but it's going to help you stay up to date with everything Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I mentioned on Friday, I'm going to be watching one specific position group, and that is the backfield. That's right. It is a battleground right now. You have Isaiah Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, Elijah Mitchell, Brashard Smith, Carson Steele, and recently added Michael Wiley. They're all fighting for spots, likely 4 spots for those 6. So again, you have some options there, but I don't think those options are going to fix your run game woes from last year, especially since Kareem Hunt now has a quad contusion that kept him sidelined on Wednesday. So yeah, his running back 2 spot, it seems safe and it should be safe, but again, Brashard Smith, he's been pushing him for third down snaps, so that is threatening Hunt's role in some degree, in some capacity. But again, he had 904 total yards from scrimmage last year, 7 touchdowns, so he still has some juice left, but he's 30 years old. That mileage, if not already, is going to catch up very, very quick. So what is your ideal? Well, you want to get him in a moderate role. But again, you can't do that when he's running back 2 and your running back 1, who is Pacheco, is coming off a season that was derailed by injuries, and a running back that is always seems to be plagued by either a serious or nagging injury. And then when you look at Carson Steele, he's just a short yardage hammer, but he lacks any game-changing impact. Mitchell's a nice addition, but he's not a needle mover in my eyes. And Rookie Smith, he can't carry this, running game alone. So if we look at the Chiefs' 2024 run game, it was the NFL's least explosive. Their RPO heavy schemes that limited their play action, that stifled their offensive unpredictability. So there's their problems right there. Of course, you had an O-line that was shaky last year too, but keeping Hunt in a complementary role and praying Pacheco stays healthy, that's risky. That's really risky, especially with, again, an unproven O-line. Even though you did some things to fix it, it's still unproven. And you did not add any breakout back at it. Again, Elijah Mitchell's cool, but he's not a needle mover. So again, this run game, I think, has some issues. Last year, 101.2 yards per game. That was 26th in the NFL for our run game. Now, again, I said Smith can't carry the entire load by himself, especially as a rookie, but he did have some good numbers last year at SMU, 1,332 yards with 18 total touchdowns, not just rushing, total touchdowns. So again, Hunt's injury, Pacheco's being fragile, and a lack of explosive additions, I think that makes the Chiefs run game a concern for sure, especially with an RPO heavy approach that is going to hamper any play action that you might want to do. So that's the group that I will be watching on Friday. But of course, that's not the only thing that we need to be keeping our eyes on as Chiefs fans, because the trade rumors are going to start picking up here. Trade buzz heating up. Joshua Williams and Felix Anudike Uzama, they have been emerging as Chiefs on the trade block, and the Titans, they might be eyeing Williams. That's right. They might be eyeing him to help bolster their secondary. The Titans, led by ex-Chiefs executive Mike Borgonzi. Yeah, that's right. If you forgot that he's there now, they might need some corner help. Of course, the Jerry Sneed we gave them, but he's hobbled by a quad and knee issue. So he's been on the sideline. So he hasn't even been out there with them. And he just played 5 games in 2024. Now, if you look at Williams, a former 4th rounder, he's squeezed out right now by McDuffie, Fulton, Watson. But again, near perfect availability. I think he's only missed 1 game, and he has that Super Bowl pedigree and that Super Bowl experience that could make him at least a decent trade piece or has something to his name. But when you look at Uzama, a 2023 first rounder, he's been very disappointing. Only 3 sacks in 2 seasons. So again, he's right now sitting 4th. You can even argue he might be sitting 5th on the depth chart. So at 23, you could argue that he's not a bust yet. He's still really young and could unlock some potential, but the Chiefs' 5th-year option, that decision's looming already, so they might just want to deal him now, avoid losing him for nothing in free agency. But again, Williams, there's something there that you could sell him, to a team for. 91 tackles, 18 pass breakups, an interception. Again, never misses time, Super Bowl pedigree, reliability, his length, You could maybe catch a, sixth rounder there, maybe even a fifth rounder if you're nice enough. But for Andy DK Uzama, I don't know. He's got that youth. Again, drafted pretty high, so it has some talent there. You could say it was a stretch for us to even take him when we did, but some talent there. So that might yield a fifth round pick if you can talk through a team. But again, his production kind of limits where he's at. So Williams trade to the Titans, any DK Uzama's potential exit, I think that reflects the Chiefs' depth and urgency to maximize value before losing anything to free agency, especially as a team that's just constantly trying to get to the Super Bowl. There's no point in holding on to players that aren't going to help you get there at that point. We're talking about players that have helped you get to plenty of Super Bowls. Patrick Mahomes, well, Tom Brady, the current GOAT of the position with 7 Super Bowl rings, has been giving Patrick Mahomes a massive nod at some high praise, saying that he's the closest to his legendary status, as he's always putting the Chiefs in a position to win. Of course, both have won 3 Super Bowls in their 20s, including some back-to-back titles, and Brady's right. Mahomes' clutch play drives, the Chiefs' dynasty. This is just like what Brady did for the Patriots. I've said before that Mahomes probably needed 5 rings, and then we could have possibly said that he passed Brady as the GOAT, but now I'm kind of leaning towards at least 6 to overtake that title, mostly due to him being blown out in Super Bowls, and again, just needing to return to that MVP form just a little bit. His stats have been down, but again, he's still rising in those moments, which has allowed him to get back to the Super Bowl the amounts that he did. But the parallels are uncanny. AFC dominance, clutch heroics, Hall of Fame tight ends, brilliant coaches. It all just makes sense and lines up. So again, Brady's praise, I think that cements in my mind, and should be everyone else's minds, that Mahomes is the NFL's top quarterback right now. But he's got to keep delivering to close the gap. He's got to keep getting back to that MVP form that we know he can. But again, 3 Super Bowl wins, a couple MVPs. I about said a couple MVPs. And when he's in the playoff, he has a passer rating of 105.4, 5,814 yards, 46 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions in 21 games. And that's just in the playoffs in his career. I don't need to get into all the regular season stuff. We know how great he is. But again, Brady's high praise for Mahomes highlights not only his acknowledgement of where he is in his career, but just highlights that they have this shared clutch brilliance and that they're both really, really good and both the GOATs at their position. But again, I think Mahomes needs probably 6 rings before we can even say that he's passing Brady for the GOAT. But let's hope that he doesn't suffer another Super Bowl blowout and or a 10-year drought like Brady did. But we're not quite done, because we have to talk about the last day of training camp. I know it just flies by every single summer, but they did wrap up training camp on Wednesday with a light 10-10-10 session. It's just a smart tune-up before, Friday's clash with Seattle. Nothing too crazy, but Minshew did return with the first team offense. Nothing wrong with Mahomes. He's not hurt or anything, but that might likely means that they will sit him for the second one, and I don't know if he's even going to play in the third preseason game. We'll see. As we know, he has that 1 touchdown pass for a yard, so don't really want to mess up those numbers and those stats there. But the special teams, I think that kind of was the spotlight. Again, Nico Remigio, Smith, Sky Moore, the usual suspects returning punts there, handling punts. And we had that whole discussion yesterday about who would we rather have, Remigio or Sky Moore on the team if it came down to it. And I always said Remigio because of his returning possibilities. So as you can see, they're battling it out there. The first team O-line will get a few drives, or said they will get a few drives for this game against Seattle. So that's some good praise there. And surprisingly, Jalen Moore took some snaps at left tackle. So probably just testing his depth there and just making sure. But again, we know that Josh Simmons should be a lock at the left tackle. But again, injuries are looming large. Brennan Stool, the tight end, 13 missed days. Hollywood Brown, 9 missed days. Driscoll had 3 missed days. Hunt missed on Wednesday with that contusion. So again, some injuries that we need to keep our eyes on and maybe be a little worrisome about. But again, mostly just Hollywood Brown. We need him back out there. So this low-key finale kept everyone healthy, but the injury cloud, the offensive questions, we might need to see those answers fast. So the 10-10-10 practice prioritized health, prioritized reps for backups like Minshew, and even more getting some at left tackle. And it's just getting us ready for Seattle and the rest of the season up to the regular season. So staying healthy, letting Minshew continue to get good reps, and hopefully Brown, Hunt, and others get the rest that they need so they're ready to go as the regular season is just around the corner. That's all that we have here for you at Cheifs Latest. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already and turn on those notifications. And let me know in the comments if you think our running game will improve or if we are still going to have some problems in 2025. Let me know what you thought of the high praise from Brady to Mahomes. I think it's always great to see two greats going at it like that in a healthy, positive way and supporting each other. And just let me know if you went to camp at all in the summer, what you thought and what you saw there. Once again, this is Cheifs Latest. I'm your host, Calvin Silvers. And until next time, have a good one.